Yeah. Analytics off the chain, other channels not the same. Jake and Kyle, you know the name. Headliner Nation, we running the game. I'm a headliner.
Yo, what is going on, Headliner Nation? Welcome back to the Fantasy Headliners. Kyle back in the studio after a relaxing, rejuvenating week off on vacation. Feeling ready, though, to get back to the grind, and it starts this week with our Super Bowl shows. Now, the shows that we do this week are going to be just a little bit different than what you've seen us do so far this postseason. And our other shows, we've talked about the matchup as a whole in both teams. But this is an extra special game. So we are going to split it into two shows. And this show is going to be all about the Los Angeles Rams. What do the Rams have to do perfectly? What are the keys to them winning the Super Bowl? And then the other show that will drop after this one will be all about the Cincinnati Bengals. So we're going to be breaking down the big game from the aspect of the Los Angeles Rams in this show. But before we do that, ladies and gentlemen, a huge giveaway. We give away a Justin Herbert signed full-sized helmet and an Austin Eckler autographed jersey. But this one is even bigger. Oh, take a look, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, a full-sized Joe Burrow autographed helmet could be yours, but you won't even have a shot if you don't follow the directions here on the slide. To be eligible to win, you've got to head over to Pristine Auction. You got to sign up for a free account there, and you have to use promo code Headliner. So again, head to pristineauction.com, sign up for a free account, and use promo code Headliners. That's going to get you in the drawing and give you one entry. Now, do you want 3 additional entries? Do you want 3 more opportunities to win this autographed Joey B helmet? Well, obviously, first things first, head over to your favorite podcast platform and subscribe to the Fantasy Headliners podcast. Also, go over to Headliner U here on YouTube and subscribe. And then head over to Headliner Gaming here on YouTube and subscribe again. That's it. You just got to stay right here on YouTube. So sign up at pristineauction.com and then subscribe to the Fantasy Headliners podcast on your favorite platform. Subscribe to Headliner U here on YouTube and subscribe to Headliner Gaming here on YouTube. You do those things, you get 4 entries and 4 chances to win this helmet. Guess what? If you've ever already done any of these things, you're already entered. Good luck to everybody with that, but now let's dive into it. Let's talk about our Los Angeles Rams team. What do they need to do to win, and what needs to go right for them? Let's jump into it and discuss it more. So for the second straight year, a team is going to be playing in their home stadium in the Super Bowl. It never happened before. Tampa Bay did it last year. Now we have it in back-to-back years. That's actually pretty cool to see. But there isn't going to be kind of that home field advantage either, because we've seen throughout the playoffs with the Rams that their fans just don't pack the stadiums the way other teams do, which is really, really unfortunate. But it's going to be interesting to see what the difference is here. Is it going to be 50-50? Do the Bengals fans travel a little bit more? We'll have to wait and see how that plays out. But the Bengals will actually end up being the home team this week in this game, because they switch back and forth. So Tampa Bay last year, the NFC team, they were home in their own stadium. This year, the AFC team, the Cincinnati Bengals, they are home in the Los Angeles Rams Stadium. Sunday, February 13th will be the day the game takes place. 6:30 kickoff in Inglewood, California. It's going to be beautiful weather out. Great to see. Season ranks for the Los Angeles Rams, 12-5 record. Now, for the rushing offense and passing defense, okay, these have been the two areas that statistically on paper, they haven't been that great at. Their rushing offense, 25th overall, and we're going to talk about the injuries here in a second, but really they're going to have to kind of get that going because when you look at the Cincinnati Bengals, they've also been very good against the running game this year. So if that kind of gets stalled at all, especially with Cam Akers being beat up, what are we going to see from the run game at that point? Do they abandon it at any time? Do they barely mix it in? That's going to be something to watch with this game. Again, the rushing offense, just 25th overall, hasn't been that great this year. Been decently efficient, just they haven't been throwing, or they haven't been running it nearly as much as some other teams. Passing offense, Matthew Stafford, and obviously the weapons that he has there, Cooper Kupp, the number one wide receiver this year, really, in terms of every statistical category. OBJ playing very, very well since coming over in that trade. Van Jefferson, that deep threat there. All of those things combined, this passing offense has just been one of the best that we've seen so far this season. And in the playoffs, they've kind of taken it to another level. In the regular season, we saw some inconsistencies with it, but I think they've performed a lot better here in the playoffs. Now, on the defensive side of the ball, the rush defense, they've been very good for the LA Rams, performing very well, stopping the run. Joe Mixon at that point, we know efficiency-wise, he hasn't been the most efficient running back in the playoffs. Last week, 88 yards against the Kansas City Chiefs, looked a lot better. But really, it's not going to be one of those games where they're going to be able to just run and pound the football, and that hasn't been the MO of this team this year anyway. So I don't anticipate that happening. For Joe Mixon, it's really going to be coming down to taking advantage of the opportunities given, because I don't expect him to get very many opportunities. And then the passing defense, 22nd overall. The problem with the Rams defense in the secondary is they seem to get beat by some big plays, and that's kind of what has led them to being 22nd overall. And obviously, we know with this team, the Cincinnati Bengals, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd. We'll see if CJ, who's your mama, is going to be ready to go with that knee. Joe Mixon out of the backfield. Again, that's something else that we'll discuss later on in the Cincinnati video. But the pass defense is really going to have to find a way to not stop these guys, because you can't stop them. It's going to be all about limiting the big plays and how much damage they do through the air. So the defense for the Rams are going to have a lot on their plate. Let's take a quick peek at the injury concerns for the LA Rams, and I will say that it is a lot more than what Cincinnati has right now. For the injury concerns, Andrew Whitworth, offensive tackle, he's questionable with a knee. Van Jefferson is questionable with a knee. Tyler Higbee is questionable with a knee. Jalen Ramsey, he's questionable with his shoulder. Cam Akers is questionable with his shoulder. So as of right now, it sounds like these guys, they're going to get out there in some capacity from what I've read. Now, obviously, that could change a whole lot between now and game time, but I expect Ramsey to be out there. Higbee could possibly be out there. Van Jefferson, I expect to be out there. Cam Akers, I wouldn't be surprised if he's a little bit more limited if they split some more touches with him and Sony Michel this week instead of giving him a majority of the workload like they have been doing. And then obviously Andrew Whitworth, a big name on that offensive line, really need to make sure that they are protecting Matthew Stafford and giving him enough time to throw the football. Let's talk about some prize picks. What are a couple of prize picks I like this week for this game? Well, I am taking the over on Matthew Stafford at 35.5 passing attempts. Now, I just mentioned it a second ago with the running game. Cam Akers has that shoulder kind of beat up. Cincinnati Bengals have a good run defense, and this hasn't really been a running offense this year that has just pounded the football, okay? And in the playoffs so far, Matthew Stafford has been exceeding those 35 passing attempts. Going up against Cincinnati in this game where I highly expect them to be putting up some points, a lot of back and forth, a high-scoring affair more than likely, I expect Matthew Stafford to have to throw the ball more than 35 times. Now, does that necessarily a bad thing for the LA Rams? I don't think so. A lot of times when you would say, hey, they're going to be throwing it a whole lot, you would probably be kind of going back to the fact, well, if they're throwing it a whole lot, they're probably down a whole lot. This is going to be, for me, a really back and forth game. I don't think anybody's going to walk away with it, and I don't think that Cincinnati is going to be up like 2, 3, 4 scores, and Matthew Stafford's going to have to be, they're going to have to be throwing it because they're going to go punch for punch. So when LA takes it down, Cincinnati's going to take it down. It's going to be a whole lot of back and forth. And that's why I think Matthew Stafford's going to go over that 35.5 passing attempts and hit that mark there for that prize pick. Now, on the other side for Cooper Kupp, I'm going to go over the 8 receptions because like I just mentioned a second ago, if Matthew Stafford is going over 35 passing attempts, it's a pretty good bet that Cooper Kupp is going to go over 8 receptions because he's going to be in the double-digit targets. He's going to be anywhere probably from 11 to 15 targets, I would assume, if Matthew Stafford throws the ball more than 35 times. If Cooper Kupp performs the way he has been this season, then 8 receptions should be in the bag. I mean, if this guy gets 15 targets, he's probably going to haul in at least 9 of those. So that is something to watch with Cooper Kupp. And the thing I like about Kupp is this is just another opportunity for him there in the slot, more of a mismatch against the Cincinnati Bengals defense, getting him an opportunity to really show that volume and really get him the football on a consistent basis. So again, if I like the over on 35 passing attempts from Matthew Stafford, then you have to like the over on 8 receptions from Cooper Kupp. Now, what are my Manscaped keys to victory? So Manscaped keys to victory for me here is going to be mistake-free Stafford. All right. For me, Matthew Stafford has to play the best game he has ever played in his entire life. No turnovers. Okay. Do not turn the ball all over. Cincinnati has been very, very good about doing that in the playoffs. Getting a key turnover, getting a key stop, doing a little bend but don't break, giving up some points to begin with, and then really locking down in the second half. Matthew Stafford needs to be mistake-free for me, especially in the first half. We've seen it where Cincinnati's defense, in that first half, they kind of get ran into a little bit, and then in that second half, they get better, better, and better. The defense gets better as the game goes on. And I give a lot of credit to the defensive side of the coaching staff, being able to make adjustments and make changes and being able to help with that. And that's why I think the LA Rams are going to have to take advantage of the first half of this game to really give themselves an opportunity in the second half to play their game. If the defense is getting better throughout the game and LA heads into halftime already down, and they're going to have to then at that point kind of mix up what they're trying to do, well, the Cincinnati Bengals are already going to be in front of them. Kupp is going to Kupp, okay? That's going to happen. Cooper Kupp is going to be Cooper Kupp, okay? Don't force feed Cooper Kupp, though. Don't feel like, Matthew Stafford, that you need to get him the ball as much as possible. Still feel free to spread the ball around because Kupp is going to get his. Those opportunities are going to present themselves. So don't feel like you've got to get him the ball on a consistent basis or a constant basis to win this game. Because if you get the ball to everybody else and you spread the ball around and you do a good job of completing passes and playing mistake-free football, the opportunities are going to go open up for Cooper Kupp. And because this is going to be a really back-and-forth game, it's just going to give him more opportunities later in the game to really kind of to help this offense explode and to be that guy that he has been all season. So again, Kupp is going to Kupp. Don't force it to him. Let it happen naturally because it will for Cooper Kupp. On the defensive side of the ball, pressure, pressure, pressure. Under pressure, do. Okay, so for me, for the LA Rams, they are going to have to create a lot of pressure, but they need to get home with that pressure. What we saw last week from Joe Burrow was absolutely insane. The pressure getting to him, getting out of the pocket, throwing on the run, running for a first down multiple times. So if you get the pressure home to Joe Burrow, you have to make sure that everybody is staying home in their gaps and watching their assignments. You cannot get sloppy, Rams, all right? Von Miller, you guys, Aaron Donald, you guys have to get home, but you have to make sure he stays there. Do not let him get outside of the pocket and start moving too much. Is it going to happen? Yeah, it's going to happen. It's going to happen a few times in this game. But the less times it happens, it will be better. All right? That is what I want to go with here. Again, pressure, pressure, pressure. Get home, get Joe Burrow, knock him to the ground. Just a couple of games ago, he was sacked 9 freaking times. You know that you can take advantage of this offensive line. This offensive line is not that good. They've done all right at times, but all right is really giving them a whole lot of credit. Okay, so take advantage of that. Make sure you're pushing the offensive line back, winning those battles, containing the gaps, not letting Joe Burrow out, getting home, knocking him down, tackling him, sacking him, tackle for loss, whatever it may be. Really, really hammer that home. And then holding the Bengals offense to field goals will not work. You hear a lot of times in football when you're talking about games and the keys to winning, when you look at it, it's really like, hey, if you hold these guys to the end zone or hold them to field goals, that's a really good way to win. Not with the Bengals this postseason. The Bengals this postseason have actually made a habit out of winning because Evan McPherson has been so good. You can't let the Cincinnati Bengals cross that 50-yard line, okay? You are going to have to be able to end drives quickly for the Cincinnati Bengals. The longer the drive extends, the better opportunity there is for Evan McPherson to come on the field and knock home a field goal. And he's been one of the best, and he's becoming one of the best kickers in the game. So for Evan McPherson, you got to keep him off the field. It isn't about holding this team to field goals. It's about holding this team to 0 points. All right? Don't let him cross the 50. Don't let him get in field goal range, get turnovers, whatever it is. Do what you need to keep Cincinnati from sending Evan McPherson out there and adding up those points. Because what's going to happen in that first half, you're having a good first half and you let Cincinnati stay in it because maybe they kick 3 field goals or they kick 2 field goals and score a touchdown or something like that. Well, 2 field goals that's a touchdown without the extra point. So it's basically like saying, hey, you let them score once anyway. You got to limit those opportunities because if you let Cincinnati tack those 3 points on as they go, and maybe McPherson by the end of the game has 4 field goals, that has kept Cincinnati within striking distance. So now you get to the end of the game, and instead of being able to just run the football and kind of control the clock and wind things down, you're still going to have to be on the aggressive side of the football because if you don't, Joey B and that Bengals offense, they're going to come back and they're going to hurt you. So those are really going to be the keys to the Los Angeles Rams winning this football game. Now, for me, I'm not going to make a prediction for this game right now. For me personally, kind of my rooting interest, it is going to be for the LA Rams. Detroit fan, Matthew Stafford, I want to see him get his ring. But I'm also a Joe Burrow fan. I love Joe Mixon. There he is right there. I love Joe Mixon, okay? So if Cincinnati wins, I'm going to be happy with that as well. I want a really good game. I think it's going to be an amazing game. And I think if the LA Rams are going to win and bring home a title to LA and Matthew Stafford is finally going to get his ring, these are the things that they are going to have to do to be able to make that work. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're new here to the Fantasy Headliners, hit that subscribe button. Stick around, become a part of Headliner Nation today. Make sure also you leave a comment down below. What do you think are the Rams' keys to victory? Do you think they can pull it off? Let me know what you think about the Rams' chances. And then, of course, everybody, if you've watched this video, hit the like button for me. And don't forget, go subscribe to our other channels for a chance to win that autographed Joe Burrow helmet. Make sure you go subscribe to the podcast on your favorite podcast platform as well. Everybody stay safe and stay healthy, and I will catch you all on the next episode of the Fantasy Headliners.
Analytics off the chain, other channels not the same. Jake and Kyle, you know the name. Headliner Nation, we running the game. Y'all stuck on third down. Your content's plain Jane. Headliners on top now. We gonna move and change. Podcast off the rip. Draft guide, so legit. Fantasy world, our game tight. You know we about that chub life. Stuck in a rut and you need some motivation. Head to the channel for this Headliner Nation. I'm a headliner.